Good evening and welcome. This is the Marion City Council meeting for Thursday, September 7th. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Draper.
Here.
Ms. Etzel. Present. Mr. Spinks.
Present.
Mayor Abou-Osley.
Here.
Mr. Brandt.
Here.
Mr. Nicholson. Ms. Pazur.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. This moment we have a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, we have three special items today. We have two proclamations and a presentation to make on the retirement of Lingo, our canine. Okay. You're making the presentation? Okay.
Mikhail apologizes. He can't be here right now. He's down at the sheriff's office dealing with another 911 board. My name's Doug Slangle. I'm Deputy Police Chief. Have this honor. A little bit about tonight. Tonight we're going to retire Lingo from service. Talk here in a little bit. He's been with Officer Corporal Schamberger for about since 2004. So it brings us up to 2017, 13-year service for the dog. A little bit about Jason. Jason joined the police department in 2004 as a patrol officer, and in 2016 he was promoted to the rank of corporal. Lingo, a Belgian Malinois, was 2 years old when he joined the department in 2008. Jason often competed in nationwide canine Olympics and won many awards. On average, he was competing against 80 to 90 drug dogs from across the United States. In 2014, he took second place in residential narcotics detection, as well as third place in narcotics detection overall. In 2015, he took first place in narcotics detection road clear, second place in narcotics detection scramble, and other awards. In 2016, he received second place in narcotics detection in a warehouse environment and second place in Hogan's Alley narcotics detection competition. Jason's dog is incredibly well managed and been a great benefit to the police department. I've been here for 25 years, and this is the best dog, in my opinion, we've ever had. Jason puts in valuable time with the dog, both on and off duty, compensated and not compensated. You can tell in the behavior of both Jason and also Lingo. As we go into tonight, it's sad. We're losing a dog into retirement, but it's also a great time for Jason. Corporal Schamberger's taken on some additional responsibilities within the police department to further his career. This whole process and ceremony will allow the dog to become part of Jason's family, permanent family, and no longer be under the city's umbrella. So at this time, I'll give Jason a moment to talk, and then the mayor.
Thank you. I've got a list of people I want to thank who were instrumental throughout my career and my success in handling of Lingo. First, I'd like to thank former Chief Doherty and Sergeant Fort, who were instrumental in selecting me as a canine handler and also selecting Lingo as a dog to work for the police department. Secondly, I'd like to thank Chief Mikhail, our current chief. Third, I want to thank all the patrol commanders that Lingo has had the opportunity to work under, and those are a couple of retired people, Captain Delamere, Lieutenant Etzel, Deputy Chief Slagle, Lieutenant Murden, Lieutenant Knott. I want to thank all the patrol officers, corporals, and sergeants that have called upon Lingo to help them, whether it be for narcotics detection, tracking, helping them just by his presence. Two individual officers that I want to thank that really helped, that often called on lingo, are Corporal Chermo and Officer Circle. They were both instrumental in a few key hides and finds that Lingo had throughout his career. I want to thank the citizens of Marion and the surrounding communities for coming to all of the countless canine demonstrations that we've done over the last 8-9 years. I lost count of how many people we've actually talked to about our canine program and the dog in general and how he helps the city. I want to thank my wife and son for their at-home care and helping me manage the dog at home in a home environment. And lastly, Lingo for his loyalty, his service, and his protection. So, appreciate it.
Well, it's no secret that Marion's police department is an excellent department that is an example for all departments across the state. They're a big part of what keeps our city safe, and the fourth safest city in the state of Iowa. They do a terrific job, and we appreciate everything you've done. And especially, a big part of our police force are the canines, and Lingo has served his service honorably, and we wish him well in his retirement. We thank you for giving him a home with you permanently for the rest of his life. And we have a present here on behalf of the city for Lingo. So. You want him to open it, or you can go ahead. You sure I can just? You're good. Hang on there. Just a pen. You might drag me away.
Oh.
This is the same picture that we took, I forget how many years ago, but if anybody has his baseball card, this is the picture. Appreciate that. Thank you.
So all the canines that have ever served have this photo in the second floor going down the stairwell to help us remember them, and also to give the handlers the honor they deserve. Corporal Schamberger, like I said, will be moving into a different role, and this dog will be replaced by a new dog here in October. So the police department, your city, will have 3 dogs full-time. We're going from 4 to 3, and Adam Herrig has been chosen to be that next handler.
Thank you. Thank you. We have 2 proclamations tonight. The first one is 5 Seasons Stand Down. Is there anyone here to accept a proclamation? Okay, come on forward. Can you tell us your names?
Ann Hearn. Oh, and
Welcome. You want to tell us your names? And
yes, Ann Hearn.
Joe Stutler.
And Linda Waddington.
okay. All right. Whereas Lynn County Veteran Affairs, in partnership with the Cedar Rapids Metro Area Veterans Council, the Iowa City VA Medical Center, and the Lynn County Continuum of Care, will hold Lynn County's 12th annual Stand Down for Homeless and Near Homeless Veterans and Non-Veterans. And whereas stand down is a term used in times of war in which exhausted combat units come off the battlefield to rest and recover in a place of safety. And whereas, according to the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs, the first stand down was organized in 1988 by a group of Vietnam veterans in San Diego. And whereas today, stand down also refers to a community-based program that provides assistance to homeless and near homeless veterans to transition to community living by providing access to human service agencies, including benefits counseling, Social Security and veterans, employment and training assistance, eye exams screening, health care screenings, housing services, legal assistance, mental health treatment, and substance abuse counseling. And whereas stand downs have been used as an effective tool in reaching out to homeless veterans nationally, reaching more than 200,000 veterans and their family members. Now, therefore, I, Nicholas Abu-Asali, Mayor of the City of Marion, Iowa, do hereby proclaim September 8, 2017 as the 12th annual 5 Seasons Stand Down Day, and encourage residents to recognize the positive impacts of this event to assist veterans and to express gratitude to those who have served and continue to serve. So I'll be the first to say thank you to all those who have served and continue serving. I need to sign this. Okay. Okay. And our second proclamation is for Constitution Week. Is there anyone here to accept it? Okay, I'll accept it. Yes. Oh, please come forward. Tell us your name.
Nancy Grindle.
Okay. And you're a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution?
Yes, and I need to mention also that we are serving food, we are taking food and helping with the stand down tomorrow.
Wonderful. Okay. Whereas the tradition of celebrating the Constitution was started many years ago by the Daughters of the American Revolution, and whereas in 1955 the Daughters petitioned the Congress to set aside September 17th through 23rd annually to be dedicated for the observance of Constitution Week, which was later adopted by the United States Congress and signed into public law number 915 on August 2nd, 1956 by President Dwight D. Eisenhower. And whereas the aims of the celebration are to emphasize citizens' responsibilities for protecting and defending the Constitution, preserving it for posterity, inform the people that the Constitution is the basis for America's great heritage and the foundation for our way of life, and encourage the study of the historical events which led to the framing of the Constitution in September 1787. And whereas the United States of America functions as a republic under the Constitution, which is the oldest document still in active use that outlines the self-government of a people. And whereas today the Constitution stands as an icon of freedom for people around the world. Now therefore I, Nicholas Aboasili, Mayor of the City of Marion, Iowa, do hereby proclaim September 17th through 23rd, 2017 as Constitution Week in the City of Marion, Iowa, and encourage all citizens to take time this week to reflect on our heritage of freedom.
And I'd like to mention also that there are 3 chapters of DAR in the area, and ladies from Marion belong to whichever one they wish to.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on our agenda are citizens' presentations or comments and or petitions. If you have a comment that concerns something that is on the agenda, we would ask you to save the comments until the item comes up for discussion, and then you'll be given time to speak at that time if you wish to address that issue. Okay? Is there anyone who wishes to address the council on an issue that is not on the agenda? Okay, seeing that there's none, we'll move on to the consent calendar.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar, including items 1 through 36, including resolutions 26-301 through 26-328.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. Items 1 through 36, including resolutions 26301 through 26328. Discussion?
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to remove number 12, because I do have a question about that particular item, please.
Okay. So can we just remove number 12? Is that okay with your motion? Okay. Okay, so now the motion is to approve items 1 through 36, except number 12, which is Resolution 26306. And we'll discuss that separately. Any further discussion on the remaining items? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes. Would you like to make the motion for 12?
Yeah. And I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 26306, approving the purchase of 3 Toyota all-wheel drive RAV4 LE vehicles from Cedar Rapids Toyota at a cost not to exceed $69,100, including trade-in of 2 existing Pontiac Vibe inspection cars.
Second.
Okay. I think
Everybody.
Councilman Brandt seconded. Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26306, approving the purchase of 3 Toyota AWD RAV4 LE vehicles from Cedar Rapids Toyota at a cost not to exceed $69,100, including trade-in of 2 existing vehicles. Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor. Out in the parking lots is a vehicle that has sat there for some time, and has that been considered at all as a possible trade-in on something like this, which would then lower the price?
Which
Do you
vehicle
want to
is
address
it?
that?
Is that car that says, it doesn't have license plates on it, it's a city car.
Oh, it's an old cop car. That's one of our expired ones. It's up for auction.
Well, it's been sitting there a long time.
We don't do auctions very often, but I think it does have plates on it now. I think since you're pointed that out, I think we put plates on it.
Okay, well, I just wondered if that could have been used as part of a trade-in.
We'll do it through the auction. It doesn't have much value. I think the transmission's gone in it.
Okay, well, just
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or discussion?
I make a comment. I thought the purchase of those Pontiac Vibes was bought, Pontiac division was going out, and we found these vehicles as I think they were leftovers, weren't they, or something like that.
That was the last model year for them.
Yeah, and so we got those at a really good buy, and that was a long time ago.
2007 model year, I believe.
Yeah, so I think this will be Toyotas will be a lot better car, a lot better driving. But anyway, we saved a lot of money on that.
Okay. Other discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 26306, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion passes. Mayor Pro Tem Spink will handle the next section.
Okay, Mr. Brandt.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar with Mayor Abouasley's abstention from voting and discussion regarding the following items as presented. Items 37 through 40, which include resolutions 26330 through 26332.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on these items?
Yes, Your Honor, I guess it's the completion of, or accepting the project, but that also includes the roundabout,
Which one are you referring?
resolution 26330. Okay, the Central Corridor Improvement Project, 13th to 31st, Stage 2, Phase 1. Now, that the 6th Avenue connection to that roundabout is not completed.
Oh,
When is that going to be addressed? I have the thing here somewhere.
We're right now, tonight, we'll hopefully approve the contract for 13th to 19th. That's because the acquisitions have been completed. We're currently getting some temporary easements for that phase, but the next phase is anticipated to start once that phase is completed, and that would be from 19th to 26th, which will make that connection to the roundabout, I assume, in probably 2019, 2018. I'm not sure which year.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's just that, how can you say it's, complete if
This
connection's not there?
This acceptance has to do with the contract associated with the project. So we're just accepting the work that's done under that contract.
So I'm sure technically the entrance of 6 and roundabout is on a different phase, a different contract. The actual connection of 6 to the roundabout is a different phase of the project in a different contract.
Yeah, a different contract,
Right.
yes, correct.
If I could just also point out that, this is all part of a staged plan of improvement. We could not knock down a project the size of the corridor in 1 year total. I know there's been some questions in the public about why we haven't done certain things in a certain way, but there is a plan. We're knocking it down in certain phases. We're doing acquisitions in the next phase. We've already started a lot of those. And so as Dan had indicated, and I think I mentioned on Tuesday, we'll do utility work on the phase that we're going through now, 13th to about 19th. Next, in the spring, there'll be paving. And over the winter, we'll start talking and continue conversations with the folks that we need to acquire additional property for. We've had conversations, or letters have been sent out to all those that we intend to engage in conversations regarding acquisitions. So everybody that we'll be talking to about acquisitions know that. We've met with most of them. We have an agent, Universal Field Services is in the field. They're the ones that are conducting a lot of the one-on-one conversations. I'm the staff person who's been working with the acquisitions. I like to meet with those owners and the agents at the time, just so there's, I don't like to just send somebody out representing the city, so the council's aware there's a lot of communication going on with those owners. In the initial meetings, we like to have staff involved in that as well. So anyway, just a little briefing on that.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on this part of the consent calendar? Okay, all those in favor of items, see now I forgot them, 37 through 40, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Just in time for a public hearing.
We have a public hearing this evening regarding the proposed adoption of a fiscal year 2017-2018 budget amendment. Is there a presentation on this?
Yeah, as discussed Tuesday, Your Honor, there were several items identified by the Finance Department that we are either carryover items or items we're going to be spending funds on, city funds on, that were not in the current year budget, and we need to amend the budget because we cannot overspend the budget before the monies, or before council's adopted an amendment. So we need to amend the budget to allow those things to be purchased. On Tuesday, or there should be in your council packet, kind of a listing of all those items. If you have any specific questions on any of them, I can go through them, but the total amounts to just under $1 million for those.
Okay, at this time we'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the proposed budget amendment? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against the proposed budget amendment? Okay. Seeing that there's none, we'll close the public hearing. Mr. Nicholson?
second here. I lost my place. There we go. All right. I'd like to recommend approval of resolution number 26333, approving the FY 2017-18 budget amendment.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26333, approving the fiscal year 2017-18 budget amendment. Discussion?
Yes, I had a question on the list there, Wes. The police, the one for the police, I thought that was coming out of, funds, seized funds or whatever, but I see it's on this list.
Was that the first one for around 50,000?
Yeah.
It's the expenditure would still flow through the city books. So we do have to amend, because it's not a budgeted item, we still have to amend it into the budget, even though there could be other funds of revenue coming in to offset those.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good.
Still an expenditure, so it's got to go through the budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there other items of concern or questions? None? All those in favor of resolution number 26333, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion passes. We have another public hearing regarding the 2017 pedestrian beacon project. The public hearing is now open, and I know we heard about this on Tuesday, but just a quick recap.
Sure, Your Honor. This is a program we are doing through our annual signal programming funding. We did receive 2 bids on August 29th. Low bid was from Midwest Concrete Incorporated for $138,984.20, about 96% of engineers' estimate. The work will begin no later than October 2nd and 30 working days. We are building those lighted beacons at Albernet Road and Echo Hill, Albernet Road and Oak Park Circle, and on 5th Street by Star Elementary.
15th Street.
Yeah, 15th Street. Isn't that what I said? 15th.
Yeah, 15th Street. Okay. All right. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of approval of the pedestrian beacon project? State your name and address, please, and when you're finished, if you could fill out the yellow card over by, is it by Wes over there? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
Sure.
you.
I just have some questions. Renee Gedalia, 797 Oak Park Circle. I was here Tuesday and I heard the more in-depth part, but I just had some questions about if the mileage per hour will be lowered around those, if that's typical, or because it's 45 miles an hour there. So will it remain that, or will it come down?
The intent will be that we will add one children present 25-mile-an-hour zone at that location. We won't do that until the beacons are completed.
And that'll be from Echo Hill to Oak Ridge, basically, that span, or only?
No, it'll be about 800 feet at each location.
Oh, that's it. Okay. And then will there be a crossing guard there as well at the school times?
The school has not determined that yet. That will be their responsibility.
Okay. Okay, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone here to speak in favor of this measure?
Hi, I'm Mike Peterson, 3460 27th Avenue, Marion, Iowa. I'm definitely in favor of this, but I drive through that new beacon style, and I think these are the new beacon ones, like the ones at Boyson and the park there in Hiawatha. They're just like those, is what you're... Okay. I don't know if we can do some, like, public information, I've just seen a lot of situations where people are just about to plow through those things as they came out, and nobody knew what to do at the beacons. They weren't recognized like a regular light, and I don't know what information you can get out there, or if we can get the news stations to cover or do something for it. That's my only suggestion. I like them as a walker and everything, but I saw a lot of people almost get hit and bikers get hit.
Thank you. We'll do that.
Okay. Thanks for the suggestion. Anyone else to speak in favor of this measure? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this measure? Okay, seeing that there are none, we will close the public hearing.
Move to approve Resolution 26334, accepting bids and awarding contract to Midwest Concrete Incorporated regarding the 2017 pedestrian beacon project in the amount of $138,984.20.
Second.
20 cents will kill you every time.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26334, accepting bids and awarding contract to Midwest Concrete, Inc. regarding the 2017 pedestrian beacon project in the amount of $138,984.20. Discussion? Sir.
I wanted to make one mention that Renee said about the speed limit. The proposal that we received from the planning department a couple of meetings ago, I forgot what it's called, but it's from the school system, and that proposed a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit for all crossings. So, that's something that we'll be coming up looking at later on. So, but anyway, that's I wanted to let you know that's in that. I didn't know if you heard that or not, that discussion. But, okay.
Okay, other discussion?
You said this is an annual project that we're going to be doing? Is that?
It's an annual funding that comes through the CIP and through the budget. It's about $240,000 a year. It is for both signals and pedestrian crossings, so it's a mixture of things. So because we did not have a signal project this year, we went ahead and did a beacon project. So we really need to look at those as a priority in which we want to do and what council wants to do with that money.
Okay, further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 26334, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a resolution.
One second, Mayor Pro Tem will
I got to
handle
do
this.
this one? Okay.
Yes, you second, Your Honor. I have Resolution 26329, approving concurrence with the developer agreement associated with 2017 Corridor Improvement Project, Phase 3, from 13th to 19th Street, in the amount of $2,125,078.55.
Second?
Moved and seconded. You sure about the 55 cents?
55 cents.
Discussion on resolution 26329. Yes, ma'am.
How'd you know I was going to say something?
Well, I saw you go for the button.
This amount kicks that up to over $3 million already now with acquisition, demolition, etc.
You're talking about the 6th Avenue?
About the roundabout.
Oh, just the roundabout.
And this is result in the construction of a roundabout at intersection 6th Avenue, 15th Street. And it doesn't say anything about property acquisition or demolition. It just says all the basic work that has to be done, street construction, etc. Is there some way that this can be held to this amount so that change orders don't come in and it ends up costing a whole lot more, like the 7th and 7th roundabout ended up costing?
Well, was this bid under budget?
Well, this is part of that developer's agreement. So this is with Abode through Genesis. This is 6 blocks of paving. This is not just a roundabout. So this is from 13th to 19th. This number may vary because part of that 13th to 19th, we're still working on a couple minor acquisitions at the east end, so we may only go to 17th, and then this amount would reduce. But this is the overall we've designed and contracted for the entire 6 blocks. So this is a roundabout and 6 blocks of paving, and the associated trails, the sanitary sewer, the storm sewer, utility work, that sort of thing. So this is more than just a roundabout. And yes,
So
it does not include any of the other. This is the contract for the construction of the paving and the associated appurtenances.
But it's the construction, it's not including anything else like any more moving out or anything?
No, this is totally and if you're interested, I can get you the full bid. It's about 3 pages of unit items that are included within this contract, but I don't typically provide that.
I'm still waiting to see how much the 7th and 7th has cost. I'm still waiting for that, too. I'm done. Thank you.
Any other questions on this then? Okay, all those in favor of Resolution 26329 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries.
Yes, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve Resolution Number 26335, approving the Commons of English Glen Phase 2 preliminary site development plan for property located north of 29th Avenue and west of 44th Street, Robson Homes Incorporated.
Second. Moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a question for you. With
me?
this news yesterday in the paper about the possible merger of Rockwell with United, whatever it is, that's based in Connecticut, what would be the result of all of a sudden them deciding to move everything corporate-wise and a lot of the engineers to Connecticut? What's that going to do to these projects as far as housing and apartments?
At least what I've heard is that if they move anything, it'll be like their accounting or, the accounting department. Everything else will stay here for now.
But that's what you've heard.
That's what I've heard.
It's not set in stone, anything. So I don't know. I'm almost of the opinion that maybe some of this stuff should be put on hold, just mainly because if we lose a lot of people, there will be nobody to support these various projects that are being done.
I don't see a mass exodus of production or engineering because United Technologies doesn't make radios. They make jet engines and refrigerators.
Other companies have said that, and the reason I'm saying this is because Caterpillar in the Quad Cities had a big company down there, and then they moved everything to Pennsylvania. And the number of people that left for that was just amazing. There were some people who stayed and formed small businesses and then employed the ones that had worked for CAT that were not going to move. But I don't know how many jet people there are around here that I just am trying to save some people some headaches, heartaches, and money.
That's what I've heard. So, any other questions on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor of Resolution 26335 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Will someone read 2, please?
I can do it. Make a motion to approve resolution number 26336, approving the Commons at English Glen Phase 2 preliminary plat for property located north of 29th Avenue and west of 44th Street, Robson Homes Incorporated.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Discussions. Gary?
People to talk about that.
Oh, it is?
I don't know.
Is there some people that wanted to speak on this item in the audience?
Maybe I just didn't know what they
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, can you come up to the mic and sorry, and then fill out an orange sheet when you're done. When you're done, that's fine.
I'm Dave
State your
Kogel.
name and address.
I'm Dave Kogel. I live on 4255 Rec Drive in Marion. And we're concerned, we live kind of on the corner of that project, and we're concerned that we've kind of seen the Robson Homes, I know he represents them, has build a lot of condos around there, but we haven't seen a lot of work that they've done as far as the houses in that price range. And so I guess we're a little concerned at what to keep our the property taxes up where you guys have them now, how that could change if we have maybe a lower quality of home built in our neighborhood. So I guess, is there any way that we can have he could answer that we can have an assurance that that won't change the value of the property taxes for our area. So
I don't think the city can't make that assurance.
Right. Well, I know
but,
you guys are the ones that I guess it's just it seems like there should be some way that maybe you could have a larger lots or something like that in order to make it or have. I know it's hard to make an assurance of that, but just you know.
Tom, you gave some information yesterday or Tuesday that on these lots there. Would you?
Yes. Yes. I believe we received correspondence from the neighborhood requesting that the covenants of the existing neighborhood east of the development be incorporated into the new development with Robson Homes. And from the city's perspective, we don't get into the regulation of covenants. We just don't get involved in that part of it. I will say that when you look at the plat, that there was the row of homes that's directly adjacent to the existing development on the east side of the plat. They're comparable sizes. I'm not saying they're exact, but they are comparable sizes. And the lots do get smaller a little bit further west as you go. But it does appear that there's a transition from lot sizes from the existing ones on REC Drive and Quail Trail moving west. So, I mean, I think they didn't have to do that. That wasn't something that we required, but that is what they've done. Further down, they did move the road a little bit to make the lots a little deeper, where the sanitary sewer, the water line, I believe, was outside of was it sanitary? Sanitary sewer.
Can you
put
that picture up that you were showing us Tuesday? I would appreciate it. You can see, you'll get an idea of what he's talking about, where they've moved some things.
So this is since the original that was sent out.
Correct, but they did not change much in your area from the original.
Yeah, that's it.
So I think the area that the gentleman's concerned about is primarily up in this vicinity where they're directly adjacent. This is REC here. These lots are fairly similar in size to the ones just to the east. You can see that they get smaller as they go on the other side of the street. They do get a little bit smaller. Down here is where I was referring to. They did take these a little bit deeper. They made them 7 feet deeper. They tried to do what they can. There's a sanitary sewer that runs in that area that kind of dictates how deep those lots can be. But you can see they jogged the street out and made them deeper as they went north. So there is a little bit of a transition in there.
It'd just be nice. I mean, we had a neighbor down the street that wanted chickens in our neighborhood, and luckily we had covenants that would not allow that. So I guess I wonder if there's no, what keeps them, for these neighbors that move in there, from having chickens or having whatever, outbuildings and things like that. I mean, it'd just be nice to know if there was some covenants, but I guess maybe that's hard to do ahead of time. But
yeah, the city doesn't do covenants. But
I know. It's just it'd be just nice to have some assurances of what could happen, especially if, like what she's saying, all these people from Rockwell are moving out to Connecticut or wherever they move to. That could cause a huge problem, and the price of value of homes could really drop in the city of Marion. So, anyway, that's all I had. So.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Tom.
I would point out too that while this development, I think it's just important to just if you humor me for a couple seconds. This is an extremely large plat. This is 80 acres. This will be developed over time and in phases. So the concerns, it's not like they're going to go out and put all these streets in and all the infrastructure and the lights and you're going to drive down there in 6 months and this is all going to be built. This is a preliminary plat and a preliminary site development plan. This is just identifying what the overall property build-out will be over time. They will likely drop phase 1 in, which will probably just be in the general vicinity down here in the south side. The sewer, I believe, runs up the east side, and they will build this out as the infrastructure is improved. So, and I don't know if there's if someone could represent what their phasing plan is, but I would assume you're going to see some development here, and until there's pressure, desire, and need for additional homes, you won't see the rest of that start to build out until that pressure exists. So what this does is it provides the city, the developers, and the neighbors knowledge of what's going to be out there if everything goes as is planned by the developer. So it paints a picture for the development as it proceeds. Any changes to this development would have to be brought back to the council. If they're minor modifications, they'd be brought through in a final plat. But generally, if it's an addition of lots, we will bring it back to the Planning Commission and then to the City Council as well. So, again, just kind of paints a picture for the future. So.
That north side on 35th Avenue, is that where we're doing the paving out there?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is that where we're doing they're doing the paving on 35th Avenue?
Yeah, so it'd be, I believe it's further west here.
Oh, it's further west. It's not for this.
The water tower is about
here.
Here, I'm sorry. So this is
Current
different developer.
Current paving is at 42nd.
42nd?
East of there.
Oh, current paving. I thought he was talking about the future paving.
Yeah, I'm saying the current paving.
Yeah, the current paving is over at 42nd.
Oh, 42nd.
They're hoping to pave west of here yet this fall also with John Morris.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, it was a trick question.
Couldn't hear.
Okay, any other questions then on 26366? If not, all those in favor of Resolution 26336 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, we have another public hearing regarding the request to vacate and sell the alley adjacent to 897th Avenue. The public hearing is now open. Is there any reminder or presentation on this? Anybody need a presentation? Okay. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this measure, which is to vacate and sell the alley located adjacent to 897th Avenue? Okay, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to the proposed measure? Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor,
Well-
maybe it would be a wise idea to explain what exactly this is planning to be, because it just gives an address.
Tom, do you want to do that for people who aren't aware of what it is? Thank you.
Yeah, so Mr. Lenz is a dentist. His office is currently located here, south of 8th Avenue, west of 9th Street. This is 7th, so basically south of 8th Avenue, just west of 9th, north of 7th. This is Cast of 1000 Photography Studio. The property he's recently acquired is highlighted in red. This was the old auto sales lot. There's a home just to the north of it. There's an alley between, and then his current dentist office is on the corner. Mr. Lenz is proposing to build a new dentist office on the site of the old sales lot, and he's going through the process, and the council, I think, will see that as a part of the interim development ordinance review process. And I believe you may have seen the receive and file for the Planning Commission, but he's proposing to place a dentist office on the south side of this lot with parking behind, and then he'll maintain this office, and I think he's probably planning to lease that out for a different user. As a part of that, he is requesting the vacation and sale of the existing alley that's highlighted in red. And I think it's important to note that you probably wouldn't even recognize it as a public alleyway like we say so many times when these things are coming to the city council. This is what it looks like as you come west off of 9th. You would turn and it really just goes right into the area where the car sales used to be. Many of the alleys in the vicinity have been vacated in the past, and you can see that it likely went further to the west, and this property owner bought 10 feet, this property owner bought 10 feet. The only remaining alleyway would be this piece here, the narrow piece. And so Mr. Lenz is proposing to purchase the alleyway and build a new dentist office on 7th Avenue, and be a real nice addition to the community, and I think a great asset to the city. So,
Thanks. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this proposed measure? Okay, the public hearing is closed.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve Resolution 26337, approving the vacation of alley adjacent to 890 7th Avenue, more specifically known as the portion of alley in Block 11, original town of Marion, Lynn County, Iowa, lying adjacent to and north of Lot 7 and Lot 8 of said Block 11, and lying adjacent to and south of Lot 1 and Lot 2 of said Block 11. J. Lenz, LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26337, approving the vacation of the alley adjacent to 890 7th Avenue, more specifically known as that portion of the alley in Block 11, original town of Marion, Lynn County, Iowa, lying adjacent to and north of Lot 7 and Lot 8 of said Block 11, and lying adjacent to and south of Lot 1 and Lot 2 of Block 11. Discussion.
The only reason I asked for that clarification was because there are so many lying adjacent to and all lots such, and people just don't know where these locations are. And
Good
I
point.
think, and if you use street addresses, then there is more of a capability of identifying the locations.
Okay.
Thank you.
I had a question, Your Honor. Tom, that used to be a service station. Are all those tanks, have they been removed? Or were they in the alleyway and are they behind that?
that would be the private property owner and the purchaser discussion. I have not heard. I do not know if it's a lust site or if there's any environmental contaminations as part of that. I'm assuming that Mr. Lenz has done that as part of his due diligence prior to the acquisition.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Okay, we'll vote. All those in favor of resolution number 26337, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I move to approve Resolution 26,338, approving the sale of the alley adjacent to 890 7th Avenue, more specifically known as that portion of alley in Block 11, original town of Marion, Lynn County, Iowa, lying adjacent to and north of Lot 7 and Lot 8 of said Block 11, and lying adjacent to and south of Lot 1 and Lot 2 of said Block 11. And this is from J. Lenz, LLC. This is why I said,
Second.
put down the address.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26338, approving the sale of the alley adjacent to 890 7th Avenue, more specifically known, it's the legal description of the alley, as that portion of the alley in Block 11, original town of Marion, Lynn County, Iowa, lying adjacent to and north of Lot 7 and Lot 8, and south of Lot 1 and Lot 2 in Block 11. Discussion. Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 26338, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I'd like to recommend approving of ordinance number 1718, amended ordinance 13-14 of the Marion Code of Ordinances, removing the limitation on hours of operation for property generally described as being located south of Tower Terrace Road, west of 3rd Street, east of Iris Drive, and north and west of Esco Company for second consideration.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 17-18, amending ordinance 13-14 of the Marion Code of Ordinances, removing limitation on hours of operation for property located south of Tower Terrace Road, west of 3rd Street, east of Irish Drive, and north and west of Esco Company. This is the second consideration, and the way this is written is not quite accurate, right? I mean, we're not removing the hours of operation limitations. We're just changing them.
And that is spelled out in the ordinance.
I know. It's confusing for people in the agenda. So we'll just clarify. Can you just clarify what the actual
Correct. So this would
change is?
So the change would concern the property south of Tower Terrace Road, between what would be Irish Drive Extended and 3rd Avenue. So essentially the property that's in front of Esco building. Essentially it adds a definition of what a bar is and a definition of a restaurant, defining a bar as an establishment that serves alcohol that is over 50% of the gross revenue, and a restaurant would be one that serves food and alcohol with alcohol sales less than 50% of gross revenue. So that just clarifies the uses by virtue of sales of alcohol, and that's fairly consistent with insurance and DRAM insurance instances. The next provision of the ordinance that changes is that bars are specifically prohibited in this area, so you can't even have a bar. So regardless of hours of operation, there's no bar able to be in that area, and that's why we wanted to further define that. And then the hours, no business shall be open to the public between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. In other words, businesses will close at midnight. And then on the weekends, no business shall be open between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. So they're allowed to extend an hour on a Friday night and a Saturday night to be open till 1 a.m. So.
Thanks. Just wanted to be clear what we're voting on.
Absolutely.
Your Honor.
Discussion. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, yes. Was anything received? I mean, there were a lot of people here on this initial reading. Has there been any further comments, yay or nay, on the changes or the specifications that have been added?
Well, after the first reading was at the last meeting, I have not received any comments since that point in time.
Okay.
Okay. Other discussion?
My wondering says if the ordinance has changed since the first reading. Tom, was that no bar forever in there at the first reading of the ordinance?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yep, at the last meeting, correct. And just to clarify, there's no bar that's permitted within that area that we just talked about.
Other discussion? Is there anyone in the audience that is interested in this, that was here for this specific measure? No? Okay. All right. This is the second reading of this ordinance. All those in favor of ordinance number 17-18, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no.
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 Okay, so we have 2 noes. Motion passes. Okay, at this time we have a presentation regarding SB Coastal LLC. Welcome. State your name and address.
Good evening. I am Brian Kubik, 419 Green Valley Terrace Southeast in Cedar Rapids.
Stephanie Neighbor Cubic, 419 Green Valley in Cedar Rapids.
Thank you to the council for allowing us to present tonight. My wife and I are members and owners of SB Coastal LLC. We are doing a complete renovation, repair, and preservation to the historic building located at 871 10th Street in Marion. The property, if you know where that's located at, is built in, it's where the Bliss Hair Salon is currently at. The location was built in 1870 and is located in the historic district of Marion. It's one of the, I've been told it's one of the oldest remaining buildings still standing in Marion, which is great. The renovation will be a main floor into the yoga studio, Bella Yoga, which we feel kind of promotes the blue zones of the community, which would have an alternative use as general retail based on the open floor plan that is being created for the studio. The main floor is to remain 2 tenant spaces, so yoga would, or Bella Yoga would occupy one side, and Bliss Hair Salon would still occupy the other side. Previously, the space that Bella will occupy was previously an apartment. The second floor is going to be renovated into a higher-end uptown studio apartment. As part of the renovations, the interior is to be fully renovated with new baths, fixtures, structural updates from previous wood decay from the building. There was quite a bit of deterioration in that building. We're going to expose the historic brick walls, have all new mechanical systems. The exterior is going to be renovated as well with new siding where Bliss is located at. The back side will have new siding as well, so it'll match. New landscape, new roofing, new windows that'll be incorporated with the historical factor of the windows now, and an addition of a large deck on the back side of the property for outside yoga. Improvements would also include an ADA ramp and an ADA accessible bathrooms as well. We feel the remodel of this historic property will not only preserve the building for years to come, but will continue to promote the increased vibrant activity in Uptown Marion. We are asking the council this evening for TIP assistance to help in the overall financial viability of the project. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Kubik?
What kind of parking is available?
Yes, that's a great question, and that's one of the reasons that drew us to the property. There is, I believe, 4 spaces in front of the property. There's also potentially 4 to 5 spaces in the back of the property that we own as well in the parking lot. There's also parking around the building as well. We also have currently a verbal agreement with the Shermco lot next door to it that as long as they remain there and own that property, that parking lot, that we would be able to use that lot for parking as well, because it's very little use right now. And also, we'd like to have discussions at some point with Hills Bank as well to use their parking lot in the evenings and things like that, because that's when a lot of that yoga activities could be taking place. And typically, my wife can speak to this. I'm not really the yoga expert, if you will, but typically our classes range from 10 to 15 people a class, about an hour long.
So it would accommodate.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
What's the assistance that's needed, or what?
Yeah.
What requires assistance?
Yes, the assistance is overall just the financial viability of the project with the amount of repairs that need to be done to preserve the property and to quite frankly, Mayor, preserve it, if you will, and then that coupled with the cash flow of the property from an investor perspective, the taxes potentially that what we had figured that they would increase to would be hard to cash flow the property based on the repairs that are needed to make it work. So for the project, so
the repairs and historic preservation aspects, is that gonna, I mean, will that be to a certain standard, or to like how can somebody measure whether you've properly preserved the structure?
Sure. We've had the Main Street community director at our property, and he's gave us some suggestions as well. The current bones of the property, if you will, Mayor, will remain in place. Essentially what we're doing is just updating it, if you will. For example, we're trying to preserve as many windows as possible, okay, in the project. As far as the incentives, as well as also with the ADA accessible bathrooms, as well as ADA accessible ramp that'll go in the facility as well. What we found also was that the mechanicals of the property were very outdated and out of code. So that would help. The assistance would help with that as well.
So it would not be viable without the assistance?
Correct.
Basically, the exterior is going to stay
Yes, yeah.
historically correct.
That's correct.
Okay.
Is this the Harmoning House? Is that the next to it?
That's next. Yeah, directly next door to it, yeah.
Oh, this next door, okay. Oh.
Okay, other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have a motion directing staff to draft a memorandum of understanding with SB Coastal LLC regarding the tax increment financing TIF incentives.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to direct staff to draft a memorandum of understanding with SB Coastal LLC regarding TIF incentives. Discussion.
Mayor, if I may, one of the
Yes.
things that I would just point out is with projects like this and a lot of the ones in the uptown, one of the things that you encounter is and I know Councilman Draper can attest to this, to do these things correctly and in a historically accurate manner is a lot more expensive and a lot more intensive than it is to just go in, for example, and take out a wooden window and replace it with a conventional aluminum one. And in order for the community to make sure that we preserve these types of buildings in a historically correct manner, the city seeks to provide help to bridge that gap and cover those costs. The same thing with ADA compliance and other types of public safety updates like sprinkler systems. Without the city being able to step in and help, it really is financially not viable for companies to come in and make that kind of an investment, particularly when you have a building like this one where it's a fairly small square footage. There's just a limited amount that you can charge or income that it can generate, and normally it would not be enough to justify that type of a capital investment. The other thing that I would point out is that this is a case where Marion specifically benefits by participation in the Main Street program. One of the services that they will provide is design assistance to people or businesses that are contemplating renovations to historic buildings, and they will provide those services to the community free of charge.
Okay. Any questions for city manager on that?
So would that be, so you're saying the Main Street would be overseeing it to make sure that it is being done in a historical manner?
Main Street provides design advice and recommendations for them. A lot of times they may provide a couple of different options that the business can pursue. It may change the look of the building a little bit from what it is now, but their intent is to make sure it's done in a historically accurate manner. So for example, if a building is having a renovation done, there might be 2 or 3 different options they could choose from to do the exterior renovations, but they would all be period accurate to the time that the building was built. They just may look a little different than it did originally.
And the development agreement or the memorandum of understanding will tie the assistance to the upgrades or the repairs being done.
Yep.
Correct? Yeah. I mean, so someone couldn't just buy the building and get the assistance and then tear it down or something like that.
Correct.
The assistance is tied to the actual work being done to preserve the building.
Yep.
Your Honor, I'd like to attest the fact of what it costs to redo an historical building. And I think that in an area and truthfully, I don't care what's going in it. I think just the mere fact that we're saving a downtown building gets my attention. So,
Well, and, TIF is supposed to be, regardless of what's going in it, it goes to the real estate. It's improving the real estate, and the incentive is on the additional value created by improving the real estate, regardless of what business goes in and out of that building. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion to direct staff to draft the memorandum of understanding with SB Coastal, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a motion here directing staff to draft a memorandum of understanding with Marion Process Solutions regarding tax increment financing incentives.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to direct staff to draft a memorandum of understanding with Marion Process Solutions regarding TIF incentives. Discussion? Yes, ma'am. We heard about this on Tuesday.
We heard about this on Tuesday, and it has to do with expansion of a building and number of people.
Creating more jobs.
Right.
Building a new building.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
No problem.
Other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to direct staff to draft a memorandum of understanding with Marion Process Solutions, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion for Resolution 26339, approving a well-being service agreement between the City of Marion and the Cedar Rapids Metro YMCA.
second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26339, approving a well-being service agreement between the City of Marion and the Cedar Rapids Metro YMCA. Discussion. I think that should say Marion Metro, but that's all right. We'll get there someday. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of resolution number 26339, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve resolution number 26340, approving an agreement with Webb's Edge ICMA TV in an amount of $22,500.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26340, approving an agreement with Webb's Edge ICMA TV in an amount of $22,500. Discussion.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that ICMA should be footing the bill on this, not the City of Marion, because it is to be presented at their convention in San Antonio. And if they want it, they should pay for it. I don't think it should be up to the citizens of Marion to pay for a videotape that, for whatever use it is.
Other discussion?
I feel that citywide, this videotape will be used a lot. You know, you and I would disagree on that. I think it's an excellent thing.
We received some samples by email of these videos. They're very, very nice, promotional, and it was fairly long. I'm not sure what the average length of each is, but it's fairly long, and it was really in depth about the community, and it's really a great promotional piece that we will own the rights to at the end, that we can use however we want to. What's their incentive in doing these videos, Lon? Is this a money making thing for ICMA, or What's their incentive in doing it?
No, one of their goals is to feature communities around the country that they feel are doing well or show best practices. And so when they make selections, they'll start with a list of communities every year and narrow them down and approach communities about participating in this program. But the idea is, since their overriding goal is the promotion of professional management and the advancement of communities around the world, they want to highlight communities that they feel are doing well and doing things right. So they make that selection, and if you make the list, they'll approach you and give you the opportunity to be one of those communities. They generally don't do more than 7 to 10 of these a year because of the nature of the conference. They play these at fixed locations around the conference and the conference center itself, but then they will also play them in the run-up to keynote addresses and things like that. Advantages you've got is you've got a captive audience there exceeding 3,500 people that are all very experienced and generally representing a lot of communities, so it's a chance for Marion to show off a little bit and to show people how we're doing things here.
And they approached us.
Yes.
How do you see the city using the video in the future?
I think from the city standpoint, we've had several promotional videos done, but a lot of them were done really in the run-up to a lot of the projects that we're really starting to get into and get done. And so this will be a piece that we can use for economic development promotions. Certainly it'll be on our regular website, and it'll be accessible for people to use there. Medco and the Chamber of Commerce send out marketing pieces that we can put this on a flash drive and send it with. But one of the things that's unique about this is most of the other ones that we've had done, the rights aren't owned by either the city or the Chamber of Commerce at the end. So with this one, we own it, we have full control over it, but they also then provide to us all the other footage that they've taken. I think the videos themselves average around 7 to 8 minutes long, but they usually have 20 to 25 minutes of raw video footage that they use. So it's not something that's static that you only get this video and that's all you ever get to use. Anything that they use or tape that doesn't go into that cut we'll still have access to. So I would imagine my thought is we'll have pieces of it that will get used all over the place.
Okay.
So, Lon, if the city was go out and ask someone to do a video like this, what would that cost? Any estimate?
The only one that I really had much knowledge of is the one the Chamber of Commerce had shot maybe around 4 years ago, and I think that one was about 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes long, and it was around $10,000 for that one.
I should have charged more. I was in that one.
Now, being of a suspicious nature, which you know I am, does your position on the ICMA board have anything to do with this selection?
No. The ICMA board, this is an independent contractor. It's one of ICMA's strategic partners. They make their selections based on different criteria. They start with a list and narrow it down. But the only thing that the board has to do with that is who you would maybe end up selecting as a strategic partner. But this has never been put before ICMA's board while I'm on there. It's a long-term contract.
Like I said, just being suspicious.
Glass half full, Mary Lou.
I'm sorry?
I said you got to think glass half full.
Other discussion?
Not when it comes to for the taxpayers to paying for something that they necessarily are not going to have any gain on.
I think there's a big opportunity here to use that video in a lot of different ways to help promote our community. So I think it's based on, the amount that the other video cost, for the chamber. I mean, I think we're going to get a lot of bang for our buck with this.
Well, I would say let the chamber pay for it then. But this is not. I don't think this should be a city project.
Any other discussion?
Have you had talk with Chamber or Medco about sharing the costs?
We've approached our community partners. They're interested, but they haven't had conversations with their board about amounts or anything like that.
That could still happen.
And then, is there a specific day that they would be here? Is that in the contract?
They'll be here during Swamp Fox.
That Saturday? Do we know what is it going to be Saturday?
The 30th.
30th. Okay, yeah.
Okay, other discussion? Good?
No, I'm just anti.
All right, we'll vote. All those in favor of yes, sir.
One last question. You had said also it was coming out of the hotel motel funds, correct?
Correct.
So what that was for was to pay for bringing people into town, and this was hoped to.
Yeah, under the state code, I think it's 50% of the hotel motel tax is supposed to be specifically used for tourism and promotion projects.
Okay. Okay. Any other? Okay. All those in favor of resolution number 26340, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no.
No.
One no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I'd like to recommend approval of ordinance number 17-23 relating to public consumption or intoxication for initial consideration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance number 17-23 relating to public consumption or intoxication. Discussion. None. Okay. All those in favor of ordinance number 17-23, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I move the second consideration of ordinance 1721 relating to parades, marches, and First Amendment assemblies.
Second.
And this should be recognized that this is in conjunction with the ACLU, an organization which I am not fond of which I am not fond.
Is that part of your motion?
No.
All those in favor, I'm sorry, we have a motion and a second to approve ordinance number 17-21 relating to parades, marches, and First Amendment assemblies. Second consideration.
I'll do second.
It wasn't seconded?
I don't know.
It was seconded.
It was second. All right.
Have there been any comments about this? Or any because of the way this came about, any strategies about, excuse me, just comments, I guess.
Have we received comments?
We haven't received anything from the public on it. We did discuss this one at length amongst the staff about the implications on it, so most of the comments have been internal.
Okay. Did you have anything to add, sir? Oh.
Just no comments since the initial consideration, which I would say that no word from the ACLU is good. That they're happy that this is on our agenda and just following to make sure it gets passed.
Thanks for your work on that. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of ordinance number 17-21, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion passes.
Your Honor, I have a resolution 26,341 canceling 2 city council meetings in 2018 due to conflicts with holidays would be January 2nd and November 22nd of 2018.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve resolution number 26341, canceling city council meetings on January 2nd, 2018 and November 22nd, 2018 because of conflicts with holidays. Discussion?
So would that be like on Thursday we would have a workshop and then a meeting? Is that how it works?
Yeah, the intent would be the other days of those weeks, so January 4th and then November 20th, we would have a consolidated meeting and just do work session and formal council meeting on the same day. We'll have plenty of opportunity to make sure the public is notified and formalize the agenda so that everybody knows that that's what's happening.
Your Honor, perhaps a suggestion to maybe change the meeting, the work session days and the formal meetings so that the amount of agenda that we are getting is getting a little pushy as far as amount of reading that has to be done between the Tuesday and the Thursday, and just the digestion and trying to keep everything under control. And perhaps if there was the work session on one week and the following session, the formal session on the following week might be a consideration, which then might eliminate this problem of having to cancel meetings.
We've been talking internally at the staff level for some time now about how to streamline the agenda and change it to the format to make it work better for council. We do actually anticipate bringing some proposals back to the council at the next set of council meetings to talk about that and get your input on it.
So would that change the potential that holiday is going to conflict with the meeting date at some point?
Generally, we're probably, as long as you have 2 meetings in a week, we probably are going to run into that issue. Sometimes we have the flexibility to be able to slide both meetings either forward or back in the month, depending on whether or not it's a month where you've got those 2 weeks at the end. That happens about 4 times a year. Just with these cases, that didn't work out.
Okay. Other discussion? All right, all those in favor of resolution number 26341, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. The motion passes. And Mayor Pro Tem will be handling this next item, next 2 items, I guess.
Okay, next item is mayor appointments. Will somebody read the list of for number 9? You got it?
Sure. Bonnie Roth for the Marion Municipal Airport Committee. Mike Goldberg for the Marion Municipal Airport Committee. All for the Marion. Okay. Craig Reardon for the Marion Municipal Airport Committee. Tim Schaefer, Marion Municipal Airport Committee. John Bender, Marion Municipal Airport Committee. And Ray Brown, Marion Municipal Airport Committee.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion on these folks.
I would like to see each voted on separately.
Okay. You want to call a roll call vote?
I don't think a roll call vote would be necessary, but just a
vote on them
just
separate?
a voice vote.
Okay. Okay, well, then if we go to A, Bonnie Roth is a flight instructor out at the airport currently, and so she's very familiar with the airport operation. So all those in favor of Bonnie Roth signify by saying, is there a discussion on her? All those in favor of Bonnie Roth signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Mike Goldberg, as you know, is the Lynn County Emergency Management person, but he lives in Marion, and he would be, I feel, an excellent person that deals with state and federal issues. That's what his job is right now, so I think he would be a very good person to have on it. He's not a pilot, doesn't own a plane, but so anyway, any discussion on Mike?
Could he get the FAA to come in and check things out occasionally?
Well, he might be able to. We could ask him.
Be a good idea.
Okay. All those in favor of Mike Goldberg signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Craig Reardon is a business person that owns Luridian Software Company here in town. His office is in the Murdoch Building, right over the square here. He owns a plane. He has it hangared at Marion, and so he's a business person, long-term business person that I think would be a good one to have on the board. So any discussion on Craig? Okay, all those in favor of Craig Reardon signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? He is approved. Tim Schaefer, he was on the previous committee. He's a pilot. He owns a plane that's hangared at Marion. He is very well connected with the DOT and the FAA as far as safety issues for flying and airport type things. So I thought he would be a very good one to have on the board. He has lots of experience and flies quite a bit as well. So
I have a question about this. Now, there are 4 pilots on this. Would this have any effect on the way they would approach things? I mean, if you're going to say, yes, we're going to use asphalt to do the runway, or we're going to use concrete, they would be looking at it not necessarily as a commission member, but as a pilot who would be landing on that. I guess that would be a concern. If they would be looking at it personally or as the big picture.
I don't know who would know better though if if we needed to do some repairs.
Okay, well.
So
from that
when I
standpoint.
interviewed all of these, I said, you guys are going to look at the ground level issues, and when you bring something to council, we'll see the 10,000-foot level. So, that's what I feel the board does, is that they dig into the issues, and then they present their recommendations to council. And we have the final say.
I think that's a strength to have people who have that type of experience on the commission, not a detriment. So.
Joe, I have a question. As we work our way through these, and their term expiry date, are we going to let them decide?
They're going to let them, because what we want to do is they want to have, these are usually 4-year terms, and so we want to stagger them. Right.
Okay.
So that's why there's X's there. Thanks for pointing that out. So, any other discussion on Tim?
They're all 20s.
They're on it forever. Any other discussion on Tim?
Roman numeral 20, XX.
I got it.
You get it? Oh, thank you.
Okay. Again, is any other discussion on Tim? Okay. All those in favor of Tim Schaefer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. John Bender, you know him from the Water Board. I believe he is a pilot as well. I don't know if he owns an airplane, but
Also an engineer.
yeah, he owns a construction company, and he's a engineer, businessman type person. So I thought that would be a good asset to the board.
Oh, he's a former city staff member also,
That's
so
right.
he would be conversant with how the city council runs.
Yeah. Any other discussion on John? All those in favor of John Bender signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ray Brown is the CEO of guy that just went ESCO Group. That name just went right out of my head. But he has very good connections in all kinds of state type matters, and I don't know about federal, but he's connected with a lot of people, and so this was a recommendation that the Medco group made as well. So he's part of the Medco organization, since they're a neighbor to the airport. Any discussion on Ray? Okay. All those in favor of Ray Brown's signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Number 10, will someone read that one, please?
Mayor Pro Tem appointment, Nathan Careway, for the Marion Municipal Airport Committee.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, okay. Moved and seconded. Nathan, as I talked about Tuesday, was served as co-chair for the previous committee. He has lots of knowledge of what went into coming up with the current plan. He's a developer, that was one of the things I wanted to have on this board. There have been several emails that I've received and comments that he has a conflict of interest because the property he owns butts up against the airport. But if you look at the land that he purchased, I believe that was purchased in 2003, before any of this occurred at all. So he purchased that as a home. There's a farm on those two properties as well, and that's why he purchased it, as to develop a farm. And so, as I've signified to other people that have sent me emails on this, I guess I see a conflict of interest being when someone proves that they aren't being honest about something. If there's something that somebody has done that says, okay, they misused what they're doing, to my mind, that's a conflict of interest. If somebody wants to serve on this board and has a good track record of being an honest person, I think they should serve. That's my opinion.
Well, there's a problem.
Okay.
Because according to ordinance, I'm sorry, I can't come up with the ordinance number. It says a resident of the city.
Yeah, he's in the township.
The township does not count.
177.02.
Thank you.
Qualifications. Passed in May of this year.
Okay, I'll let you guys talk here in just a minute, okay?
Thank you.
Any other comments from the council? Okay. You guys want to speak? I think you had. I didn't know if any of the others.
Mike Tope, 170 26th Street Court, Marion, Iowa. In May of this year, you passed qualifications for members of the committee shall be residents of the city and shall have aviation or other complementary areas of expertise and be qualified by knowledge or experience as to act in matters pertaining to the development, operation of the Marion Municipal Airport. It is the intent of the city to maintain a diversity of experience and qualifications among the committee members. Therefore, no more than 4 members shall be from significantly the same occupational backgrounds unless avoidable. That's what you voted on. That's what you all signed. Nathan here lives at 2270 Hinman Road, Marion Township, Lynn County. I don't have a problem with Nathan. I have a problem that this is written the way it is. The second thing I have a problem with is what you guys are dancing around. That's Nathan's house, as per the county assessor. He owns this strip of land all the way back up to approximately here, where the east-west runway is, approximately 39 acres, with a grand total of 81 acres in his holdings. We just spent $1.67 for 26 acres. What do you think that's going to cost? And with him being on the board, I have a real problem with him being on the board, period. It's not that I have any anger or hostility towards him. He's going to use his position, may not be on purpose, to get paid. And that sends a bad signal to the citizens of Marion. And that's why I'm bringing this up to you today. I've talked to you and other members about conflicts of interest, how the DOT is breathing down our necks and tabling money because there's a big brouhaha about this airport. This is one more item. The Attorney General's office is going to be notified of it. The Lynn County Attorney's office is going to be notified of it if you continue with this and you violate your own ordinances. Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience want to speak?
I do have one other thing I would like to say.
Okay.
When Roger Brooks from Seattle came to Marion, staying in Cedar Rapids for the week that he was here, about the branding, he formed a committee, and it says in his statement that anyone who is a dissenter of any of the plans will be removed from that committee, and a person who agrees with the general whatever will be replacing that person. And when you said Tuesday, when you announced this, you said that these people were 100% behind the airport's plan. That's a problem, because you don't necessarily come up with the best overall plan, because someone who maybe does not agree with it could express their doubts and whatever, and you end up with a better plan. But the impression I got was that this would be like an old Roger Brooks thing. If you don't agree, you're out.
That's true. When I asked them, were they on board with airport and, Marion continuing with this airport project?
That's rubber stamping the thing, and I don't think it's healthy.
Okay, well.
Just my opinion.
Any other comments then on did you want to come up there? What's that? It's appropriate. Yeah, come on. Since you've heard the nays, let's hear the yeas.
Nathan Caraway, Mike's buddy. Mike and I served together on the previous board. So
your name and address first.
2270 Hinman Road.
Okay.
So Mike's aware of what the makeup of the previous board was, and he's very much aware of the things that we vetted in this process. The latest literature that I've seen from the city of Marion shows about a 5-year, I guess it's a dream list of what's going to be done, and in that 5-year I see nothing that affects my property. So it seems to me that there's some action that needs to be looked at that the council voted on. It's a little contradictory to what we voted on when we sunset our organization. It was made clear at that point in time that we would entertain the options of outside members. So that's a new item that was not discussed in a permanent fashion in our previous organization. We felt that when we vetted people, there were very well qualified people within Rockwell Collins that could be in Cedar Falls or Iowa City, or we even entertained the opportunity to bring in people from other airports to sit on the board as well. So I'm assuming there's a misunderstanding or miscommunication in how that arrived at what it is today, so you can look into that. But I do want to emphasize that this is a volunteer position, and this is an advisory board. This is not a council position. This is not a paid position. There is no budget allocated to this group. Any traveling, any due diligence, any attending of meetings would have to be by someone that's willing and motivated to do those things, and there would be no compensation for that. That's pretty important to me to clarify that this is a volunteer position. I'm afraid of the precedent that it sets if you have people willing to give a lot of their time to help out the city when there is nothing in sight that directly affects my property. When we were organized, we vetted moving the airport off-site by miles, and I can guarantee you that Mike will back me on this. We looked at all kinds of different runway configurations. At no point in time did my opinion direct a lot of the naysayers into the formation of the future proposed runway improvements. The runway improvements that are drawn now, we were tasked with the dream big. Show us what the biggest thing we could dream for Marion, and that's where that potential runway that isn't even on the books sometime down the road came into play. When council adopted the ALP, it was necessary with the DOT to show what our big plan is. And we are advised by the DOT and by Anderson Bogert and by city staff that we can scale down from that at any time. There is no commitment to ever having to do all of the dream big scenarios that we vetted in our former group. So I guess I'd like to say that this doesn't seem appropriate for a volunteer organization to have this kind of a communication happen. I'm assuming there's a communication issue that happened between the translation of what was voted on by council before and now. And if that's the way the council feels, that's the decision that you guys make. But I wanted to be clear about the conflict of interest that is mentioned. In my opinion, conflict of interest can be assigned to every organization in the United States. So if someone joins an organization, they might be passionate about it, or they might be really good at it, or they just want to be involved. And it would behoove Marion to keep people that are motivated to get something done rather than push them away. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. You fill out one of the orange sheets there, Nate.
I just have a question. Does the airport need your property? I just had a few questions. Does the airport need your property?
Under the latest literature that I saw approximately 6 months ago, there's no discussion about acquisition or anything that would involve my property. I believe the council did. Joe, could you speak to the fact that council see all of the applications for all of the applicants? Okay. So council has seen this, and underneath my signature, it states that I will not, and this is not verbatim, this is just a paraphrase, but it states that I will not vote on anything that involves the acquisition of my property, and that's a paraphrase. So I just wanted to make that declaration, and it's right there below my signature.
But that immediately would throw that it possibly a 3-3 tie, which would be a negative to begin with.
How so?
Well, anytime that you have a tie, it goes to the negative. That a no vote.
I'm sure there's a way to address that in the bylaws if there was a amendment or a modification, or maybe we have to make up another member or lose a member. I'm not sure how that would work. But I wouldn't be voting.
Just saying.
At this point, from what I saw in the latest literature, the airport developer, which is not affiliated with me, has a 5-year plan that's in writing, and it doesn't involve me or my property.
Okay.
Any other questions? Sorry.
Any other questions for Nate? Thank you.
Okay.
Any other discussion from council then?
Well, just the residents, which is contrary to what the ordinance says.
I'd like to have a couple items. First of all, a conflict, any vote that were to come, as much as Beth hates it, you could vote present. That does not count as a no or yes vote. You don't vote on the thing. There's things that I don't vote on, Shirley, and any of us. Any monies that ever spent at that airport's going to come to this council. It's going to come at their recommendation. My first thought is that, and Nathan may not like it very much, but I'd like to table the issue to give him an opportunity to annex into the city of Marion.
Good idea.
It's contiguous. He could send that letter in and we could accept it, and we eliminate the problem that Councilman Bazur is bringing forth.
Well, the problem is, it's just like with the Mooney thing down on Tower Terrace. You have an ordinance that says a specific thing, and then you just kind of shift and tweak and all this other stuff. And if you're going to have ordinances, which are laws of the city, then stick to the laws.
Your Honor, just to test the waters, I would like to move we table this issue until we have a time to study the residency or give the person an opportunity to become a resident of Marion and or change the ordinance.
I have to kind of agree with the whole ordinance thing, because the ordinance does state this. I think we need to address that one way or the other. The ordinance needs to be amended if we want to do that, or something, because I'm not in favor of intentionally going against the ordinance that we had previously passed.
That was a motion, Your Honor.
Yeah, that was a motion. What's council think? He made a motion as far as tabling this one.
Is
Is there a
Council
second?
Member Draper intend to move to table?
You did.
He did?
What you said, to move to table this,
That was the motion, yes.
yeah, so is
Okay.
there a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, now, discussion on the motion to table.
I think a reasonable amount of time to allow Mr. Caraway to become a Marion citizen would be appropriate.
Any other thoughts?
I personally don't think we should table it. I mean, sure, if he wants to be annexed into the city, that could be something that can happen for it, and then he could serve on the board in the future. But right now, we need to make this committee of 7 people, and that could take a couple months before anything even happens.
Yeah.
So maybe we set the committee now, and then if a term expires or someone comes off the board and then he's part of the city, then he can apply to be on the committee.
Well, I have an 8th name too, so I have another person that turned in an application.
I'm not for tabling it.
Like I said, I have an issue with our ordinance states that I think we need to address the ordinance if we're going to go against it.
Even if we were to change the ordinance, that takes 3 readings. It's going to be a couple of months before that's even done.
Okay. The vote is to table this appointment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
No.
It failed. Okay, now we're back to approving Nate Caraway for Airport Commission. Any other discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor of Nate signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
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 That one failed. Okay, so what I will do is I have an 8th person that I will bring back to to you guys, and yeah, I'll bring back to you then at a later date, soon.
Make sure they're a resident.
They are.
Okay.
He lives right up the street from me.
Discussion.
Oh, yes, have I got things? Okay, first of all, when is the permit parking going to come off 10th, 11th Street and 8th Avenue, which we asked about last council meeting?
Kara, our other city attorney, is working on that currently with the property owner. So the hope is that that will come on the agenda at the next meeting.
At the next meeting? Now, this will be before Swamp Fox, right? So that there are places available for people who want to park uptown?
If she can get the agreement finalized by that point, but that parking is only, I believe, Monday through Friday, so it shouldn't impact Swamp Fox.
Okay. Now, given what the amount of debt is for the city, what is the proposed amount, looking ahead a year, given all the programming and the building and all this, what are we looking at the debt to be, say, a year from now? I have other items. Do you want me to go on?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, the TIF for the Dairy Queen is still not there. Is that not going to be approved, or, I mean, they built a new building and everybody else has gotten TIF along 7th Avenue.
They were approved by the council for urban revitalization replacement on that, so they will be receiving an incentive. But because of the process that is involved with amending the urban renewal plan, we hold the amendments to do them all at once rather than constantly bombarding the council with urban renewal plan amendments. So we'll process them and SB Coastal and a lot of the other ones all at the same time.
So it has been approved?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Also,
just so you know that I did have a conversation with the applicant yesterday, and that was explained to them, so they're aware. But that's
Okay.
going to take a little while longer.
okay, now, when ordinance 1710 was passed, this was compensation for the city council. And I was incapacitated, so I did not get to vote on the third
Reading.
thank you, reading of that. But I noticed that this index, as opposed to cost of living. Now, does this mean if the index is low, that the council salary will go below what it has been set by now? So, does this mean that the $4,800? I'm not going to be here, so I'm looking out for my fellow council members. So the mayor would receive less than what he receives now if it was low. Is that correct?
Now, the cost of living is an index.
I'm
And
sorry?
The cost of living is an index that always works off of the base. So anything that would be applied would be against the base salary that the councils are already earning. So whatever percentage it is always takes that number up. There could be years where the index would stay flat, but I don't think the intent would ever be to go backwards, even if the cost of living index went into the negative.
But you don't know.
I'd have to look back and see when the last time it was that it ever went negative.
Well, I would think just the cost of living, just say cost of living. And then also, would the pay per performance for staff be tied into that as opposed to percentage-wise? Because I'm getting an awful lot of phone calls from people saying, how can you pay them that much when my retirement fund is considerably less, and it's difficult to justify.
Okay.
It's
Well, while he's getting your answer, maybe we can keep going.
Yeah,
Unless
looking
you had
at
something
the,
else.
just looking at the bonding,
Oh.
our balance as of 6/30/2016 was 52 million, and in the current fiscal year, we're going to be bonding for additional dollars, but we're also paying off about $5 million a year. So we can get you a closer cash flow on that for what it'll be, since we actually split this bond issue over a period of a couple of years, so that you can see what that'll look like.
Well,
I've got a worksheet for it, but I haven't updated it
So it
since
was
this last
52
bond.
million as of 2016.
That was at the end of 2016.
and we just
fiscal
bonded for 11
2016.
million more.
We bonded for,
Trust me, 11
Nine.
million.
no, 6.8.
But plus 4 something.
The 4 million is a refinance of existing debt. That's not additional
Doesn't
debt.
add on.
Okay, well, so basically, we're back to just about where we were when we started out, when this whole thing came up. Okay, and 5 million a year, you guys hold them to it.
Okay.
And no, Will mentioned that there was a possibility of moving the mall people over to the proposed parking ramp.
That's what he said, yeah.
Who said?
Lon.
Oh, okay, that's where it came from.
That was
eh?
part of his presentation
Well,
a month ago or so.
I've talked to some people up there, and they don't know anything about it. And these are the people who are really getting very stressed out because they don't know what their future is. And it's not fair to them. And they're business people, you know. These are the ones that you depend on to supply services and products and things, and it just kind of I don't think it's good because it's, like I said, it's stressful. I am finished. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave?
Nothing.
Will?
Piggyback off of Mary Lou's question about the parking on 8th at 11th. There's the reserved on 8th. There's been a construction trailer sitting there. Do they have permission to park there? Do we know?
I believe they have a hold harmless, yes.
There's a hold, okay.
Yeah. I think that's actually the building owner.
Yeah, it is. Just curious. And I'd heard the other day that Habitat for Humanity has chosen to build a house in Marion, I think, starting this year?
Yeah,
or is it next year?
I guess their 7th one.
Yeah, and they haven't built one here for 10, 15 years?
They've done one since I've been here, maybe 2009.
Oh, that's a good thing.
On 10th Street.
I heard it's going to be on 3rd and 22nd, I believe. 3rd Avenue and 22nd Street. There's a vacant lot there.
There's a lot that's it looks like it's under construction already.
Already there?
Well, yeah, it's one house down from the corner of 22nd and 3rd.
Oh,
and
maybe they started already. That's nice. That's good. It's good for the community to have Habitat come in and build a home. So, that's all I got.
Okay.
I guess going off of what Mary Lou asked, Lon, the build-out of Marion, the projects that we're currently seeing, the 2 hotels, possibly the library, the mixed use, all of that's going on, where do you see when all that tax revenue starts coming in, do you see the payoff of these loans going to? Will it go up to $10 million a year?
No, a lot of the ones that we do are based off of what's called an annual appropriations note. So, for example, if we do a tax rebate to a company, there's language in the development agreement that makes the payment subject to annual appropriation. So when that language is inserted in there, even if it's, for example, a $5 million development agreement with $500,000 per year, only the $500,000 actually counts towards the city's statutory debt cap. That's why our TIF attorneys advise us to never back off on having that language in there. It preserves the city's debt capacity for other uses. So with only a few exceptions where we've provided direct financial assistance to businesses, everything that we've done has been on rebates or on annual appropriations. We even have the capability of doing that for potentially the parking ramp project. The city of Des Moines did one of those on a $22 million ramp project last year that's actually under construction right now. It's almost identical to the concept that we're talking about here. Few differences, but a parking ramp along with a mixed-use building, potentially 2 buildings on that site, but very similar to what we're contemplating.
I think the question may have been a little different, though, I think, if I'm correct.
Oh, you mean as far as accelerated?
Well, yeah, in the past, you've said that your goal is over time to lower the debt of the city to somewhere in the 30s.
Yeah.
And then, so I think what he's asking is, when do you see us starting to do that?
Yeah.
I'll have to update our debt planning worksheet with actual numbers based on this most recent issuance, but what we were originally anticipating would be dropping into the 30s in about fiscal year 24, 25, so about 6 to 8 years from now, and then carrying around 34 to 37 million forward after that for just ongoing projects. There's a few things I think that the council should be aware of and the community needs to consider when we're talking about these. A lot gets made about the city's debt levels and how our debt levels looked 15 years ago. 15 years ago, we were half the size we are right now. But there's another couple of considerations that you have to think about. This is not Marion's first period of significant community growth. The first time Marion grew significantly as a community was in the 1950s with the suburbanization of America, just like a lot of other communities did. The downside of that is think about how old all those roads are. They're all 50 and 60 years old. And when you look at the roads that engineering has been going in and reconstructing, all the view roads and everything like that, they're all 50 and 60 years old. So all of those are hitting us at the same time. And there's just nothing we can do about the fact that that infrastructure is all aging out because it was all constructed at the same time. So what you tend to have is you have these periods where you have spikes in the levels of a community's debt. That's what's happening here, is we're writing the checks for infrastructure that was put in 60 years ago and has just reached the end of its useful life. And if there were other ways to pay for that kind of stuff beyond bonding, we would do it. But that's essentially what the state has left us for an avenue to pay for these things. Road use tax is nice, but road use tax generally goes to pay for ongoing annual maintenance, snow removal, other things to actually maintain and keep the system that we have usable. There's just not many other alternatives. The other part that really plays into that is just simply the expense of roads. If you were to look 10 years ago, I mean, I don't know exactly what it would be, but I always thought it'd be fun to take a look at how, like, on 7th Avenue, how much of 7th Avenue could you have done a new asphalt overlay on for $1 million 10 years ago versus what that same $1 million buys you now. There's been more than 110% increase in construction costs for road projects over the last 10 years. So the idea that somehow we were going to be able to ever catch up on roads or even maintain what we have while keeping those levels of bondings is just patently ludicrous on its face. There's no way to do it and actually make progress on the streets that citizens have consistently identified in citizen surveys that they tell us should be our top priorities for city spending. The local option sales tax helps, but at current levels of local option sales tax, even with everything that we're putting in, we wouldn't be making progress if we weren't doing the additional bonding to help supplement that.
Thank you for all that.
Okay. Kim?
Good evening.
Our history lesson.
Well, couldn't help to remember here a couple of weeks ago, our fire chief came and gave us kind of a rundown of what's happening at the fire department and our growth and our needs in Station 3 and Station 4, which we need to be recognizing, and the future of the fire and the number of people we're going to need. I began to wonder what the history was of our fire department. And it's kind of interesting. After the Chicago fire in 1872, Marion at that time had just a bucket brigade and 2 fire extinguishers. And those were run not by a fire department, but by brigades who would go and put out the fire. Realizing that the city council in Marion in 1874 went to Chicago and bought two units. They bought a commercial fire engine, which was horse-drawn, and a hook and ladder. To go with Lon's budgeting, they spent a total of $1,800 on those 2 units. And they put together 2 fire companies, one to run the horse-drawn carriage fire equipment and the other one to run the hook and ladder company. They did not have the money for a horse, so they had to pull it by hand, but they did take it around for it. But the interesting thing is that Marion has had some disastrous fires when you go back in our history, and some of them while Chief was here. But the first of those occurred in 1874, and that occurred in the block of 10th Street between 7th Avenue and 6th Avenue. It started on the corner, which is now Zoe's, and burnt that whole block to the old Murdoch Funeral Home, which was then a hotel. And the only thing that saved the next 2 buildings, one of which is dear to me, is that the Murdoch building, when the hotel building was burning, it fell to the north instead of the south across the alleyway. Had it gone to the south, it would have caught the 2 houses and the rest of that block on fire. So, you know, that's one of the fires, and I'll go through these quickly and given our time.
in 1881, we had a fire. As a result of the fire in 1872, we got the Masonic Lodge built, so that was the newest of our buildings as a result of that. In 1895, the north side of 7th Avenue, the block of Irwin's Clothing North was completely destroyed to the ground. In 1914, 6th Avenue, north of what would have been to 7th Avenue north from Ole's Ham and Egger up to the corner bank building burned to the ground. But in 1920, we got a new fire truck, and I think the chief knows where that truck is, and I'd like to see that come back to our community at some point. It was gasoline driven, and it was put in at $14,000, so it was pretty expensive in those days for what it was. But in 1922, had another fire on 7th Avenue, and it burnt from what is the First National Bank all the way to the alleyway, and then across the alleyway down to what is now Zoe's, or was the Maidray. And the reason those buildings all have roughly the same date on them is that they were all destroyed in that fire and had to be rebuilt. Interesting one in that fire was one business that's dear to me called Stamey Sheets Insurance, and that was the founding father of my business. 1946, south side of 7th Avenue, between 12th and 13th Street. 1947, 10th and 11th, and on 7th Avenue, between 10th and 11th again. It's just endless, the number of fires you had, and then Spawn and Rose, a lot of you might remember that one. The wind chill was minus 61. Our fire department fought that all the way through Christmas Day, and it burned to the ground. 1902 or 2002, the Balster Furniture Building, or the Antique Mall, would have burned down had not our fire department, along with the help of another one west of us, were able to save the front of that building. So historically, it's really important. But anyway, Chief, you've got a lot of things going. We expect to see a new budget when the fire comes in. Only thing, and I'd like to tell you, is in the 1800s, insurance companies issued a thing called a fire mark, steel plated, most of them. Some of them were wooden. There are a few around town. There's one on my building. There's one on the Snug building. And if the volunteer fire department in that day were to come out and you did not have an indication that you had insurance, they wouldn't put out the fire because they weren't going to get paid. And that's what those fire marks are all about that you see on older properties around town. There were a few scrupulous companies who made them out of wood. If the wood building burned, they burned with it, and they couldn't prove that they ever had a fire mark. So I won't name those companies, but sorry to take the time, but it's interesting to me, as you know, Mayor.
Thank you. For my part, I'll just share a few things that have happened in the last few weeks that we should all be proud of. We had the ribbon cutting at the tennis courts that the city built jointly with the Marion School District, and that was a great project for the entire community. We should all be proud of it, and the school is certainly happy about having that upgraded facility, and it's open to the whole community, and there are pickleball courts there. The Longfellow Elementary ribbon cutting was the next day, and that was a very exciting thing to see, and all the kids and the staff there were so excited to have this new facility. It was really, really wonderful and heartwarming to be part of that. If you haven't been through that school, it's a very nice building, nice facility. We had a groundbreaking for Legacy Manufacturing's next 200,000 square feet. They just 3 months ago cut the ribbon on their current facility, and now they're adding on 200,000 square feet, growing rapidly. A great success story for a Marion business that is local and is growing and thriving in Marion. On Saturday, we have 2 more ribbon cuttings in Uptown as we fill up those storefronts. We've been having lots of ribbon cuttings and grand openings. Lots of great things happening. We should all be proud of it. I see people every day throughout the region who say, wow, I see what's going on in Marion. You guys are doing an excellent job. And people are outside of this community are noticing, and they are very, I don't know if they're jealous, but they're really surprised at the great things that are happening in Marion and all the progress that we're making. And we should just keep that in mind, keep things in perspective, stay positive. When we disagree, let's disagree respectfully, and let's continue to give each other the benefit of the doubt and see the best in each other. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.